Dr. Anthony Harper here, blessed to be in the Knesset with a wonderful, a journalist from Israel. Okay, and your name and the news service you're with?
I'm Shanna, and I'm with the Israel Daily News podcast.
Oh, wow. And what is one of your first concerns about what's going on in Israel? I know freedom of the press is a big deal. So what is your concern about that?
Now, before we jump into freedom of the press, I do want to say that there are a lot of issues in Israel that are affecting the everyday citizen that I'm very concerned with. And I think while a lot of the Israeli Knesset members and speakers who are traveling the globe are trying to make connections with foreign nations and strengthen the global opinion of Israel, I think it's important to take care of the citizens that are living here and that are struggling each day. And unfortunately, we have an issue with poverty. We have an issue with getting food into hungry mouths, and that's something that's really been disturbing me lately. And as a journalist, in addition to being an American Israeli citizen, having dual citizenship, being an Israeli, as a journalist, one of my friends in the news industry from the U.S. approached me and said, "Do you realize that Israel is not anywhere near the top of the list for the world's freest press?" And when she brought that to my attention, it really disturbed me because we are a democratic nation and we are known for running honest elections, or at least making a really good effort too. And so that should be reflected in a fair press. That should be it shouldn't be coming up in newsrooms that there are certain newsrooms that are having directives based on what legislators or officials want the press to cover. There shouldn't be any monetary incentive for journalists to stray one way or the other, and that's part of why I love running the Israel Daily News podcast. It's an independently run show, and no one can tell me what to say. Whereas I have worked in newsrooms before where our coverage, if it was too left, we were having a hard time, and that was under the Netanyahu administration, and I saw that on a day-to-day basis, and that is an issue.
Okay, along with it, press access, is there restriction? Is there favoritism for certain media here in Israel?
I would say just like in any nation, the larger your audience is and the more impactful your channel is, they always get priority. Sometimes when I show up to events, whether it be for art or for politics, the big news channels always are able to elbow their way in first, which can be difficult. And so I do find that everywhere in New York, the top-rated channels are always getting the opportunities to have a word with public officials first, before the smaller newspapers, before the independent journalists. And I don't know if that's an Israel problem as much as it is an everywhere problem.
Yes. Okay, so the name of your podcast is, again?
The Israel Daily News podcast.
They can check that out. Do you have a website?
We are at israeldaily.news, and our show is a 10 to 12 minute roundup. It's on Spotify, Apple, Google, anywhere that you can hear a podcast, and we're on Instagram and TikTok as well, israeldaily.news.
Yeah, Shanna, your last name?
Shanna Fuld.
Yes, so people can learn about anything through your website and all these other sources. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Harper.
Finally, it's good to connect here in Israel, in the Knesset, to get the perspective of the latest things and what your concerns are.
I'm so glad that you're here in the Holy Land, and thank you for your dedication to covering stories of anti-Semitism and the way that the world is treating the Jewish people. Thank you very much for that.
Great to join you.